Good evening and good morning to some of you. This is Black Spring with Autumn on your Friday/Saturday morning. Let's see what shakes loose. All right, and I want to welcome you again into Friday Plus Moonlighting with Black Spring with Autumn on your Friday/Saturday. And I know it's late, but I have been talking about this. I've been talking about pieces or threads of this particular stream since for about 48 hours. Hello, battery powered gardener. Lovely for you to come in. All right, so let's check our status. It's that time. Great to see you. All right. I want to say thank you once again for tuning into this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. I really appreciate it. So let's have a little chatty here. So I've been talking about this. I've been talking about the sounding of the alarm. Everything needs to be reworked. Everything, oh, this is wrong. Oh, we need federal federal adjustment income acts, and your federal employees asking for raises because they want to be competitive with the private industry, and now you've got the fast food disaster. I'm telling you guys that this is the build back. This is the tearing down of things. Because in order to, I said this last night, in order to save the quote, whatever, whether you want to call it at this point a republic or whatever you want to refer to it as, uh, at this point it's got to be torn down in order for them to build it back up in the image that they want it to be. I said this last evening that we are technically the old world order is where we are right now. But actually, I want to say I would contend that the old world order ended in 2020 with the CV-19. Okay, that's my contention, is that the old world order, we the people, that order ended in 2020. We're never going back to that. I don't care how many one-armed bandits you pull down. I don't care how many uh, what flag you're raising, the red team, blue team, at this point, it's pretty mute. Um, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you a few points this evening. We're going to start with, I want to show you this disaster that's happening, which it's they're calling it a disaster, but it's another call, like I said, with the Fair Act that the employees have authored for the federal employees to receive bigger pay raises. Like, what exactly is Congress doing other than kicking things? They're not doing anything. It's kabuki theater every single day. I just don't, it's every single day. And the second piece to this is that um, I want to get into, I want to go back to that Zoom call from Biden from back in, it was probably around 2020. And he's sitting around with these quote civil rights people. I don't know what, to me, every now and then you'll hear people refer to this as the American experiment. To me, that's what the civil rights, the civil rights was an experiment. Is it an effective experiment? that there's a lot to be desired there. They they can keep writing about it and writing about it and writing about it, but yet you end up with task force, and they got reparations task force, and studies commissions to study reparations, and just keep, and they got to keep you on the loop. They got to keep you on. They have these trauma, keep trauma alive, and rhetorics that they keep blasting. So let's go ahead and look into that particular. We're going to look at that one. We're going to look at the FAFSA overhaul disaster, whatever they want to call that, and then we'll even look at another college. Okay, so let's go for it right. Let's go for it right now. Okay, so the screen I'm going to share with you is. Okay, we're going to go ahead and share this. This one is coming from marketwatch.com. Okay, so it says after frustrating FAFSA delays, the feds will provide personnel and funding to assist the colleges. Okay, so of course, the all-time, the patronage, it's just, I'll go into it in just a second here. So we'll keep going. So it says financial aid groups and education department officials urge colleges to provide students with extra time to commit to a college. The Department of Education is beefing up resources at certain colleges and financial aid organizations after weeks of complaints from students, college counselors, schools, and congressional Republicans over the delayed launch of the new FAFSA form. Secretary of Education Miguel Cardona said Monday his agency would deploy federal financial aid personnel to under-resourced colleges. Here it comes. Including the HBCU, aka the historically Black colleges and universities, to ensure the schools have the tools to process federal financial aid forms. The department is also launching a concierge service within its Office of Federal Student Aid to help a broader array of schools, and is providing $50 million in funding to nonprofit organizations that work on FAFSA processing to assist schools in this work. The free application for the federal student aid, or FAFSA, is crucial for colleges, students, and families in determining the cost of school. The form is used to calculate students' eligibility for federal grants and student loans. States, colleges, and scholarship programs also use the data families input in the document to determine how much of their own money they'll provide to students. Through a series of bills, Congress mandated the Department of Education overhaul the form by the end of last year. The idea behind the changes was to make the form faster and simpler to fill out and to increase the amount of financial aid directed to, quote, low-income students. But a bumpy rollout for the form has crunched the timeline for colleges and students to make financial aid decisions. College counselors, higher ed institutions, and congressional Republicans have wondered out loud whether the challenging rollout could leave low-income students in limbo and even deter them from enrolling in college. Cardona told reporters on Call Monday that part of the reason for the challenges was Congress's decision not to provide more funding to the Office of Federal Student Aid as it implements the changes. Congressional Republicans have accused the Education Department of prioritizing student loan forgiveness at the expense of other priorities like the FAFSA overhaul. Quote, I understand delays have been frustrating for institutions. They've been frustrating for me too, Cardona said on the call, but let's keep in mind that we're overhauling a broken system. Quote, we've been asked to deliver more with less, he added. In the first several days following the FAFSA launch on December 31st, families struggled to even access the form. Then last month, the Department of Education said it wouldn't be sending the data that households input into the form to colleges until mid-March, weeks later than anticipated. The department initially failed to implement change to account for inflation and determine students' aid eligibility. The education department is now in the process of fixing the issue, which will result in students receiving $1.8 billion more in aid. But it is a major contributor to the delay in transmitting the data to schools. As part of Monday's announcement, the education department said it would be sending test batches of student records to schools starting within the next 2 weeks, so colleges could begin to troubleshoot and prepare their systems. Still, the delay in transmitting the official records means that colleges are facing a significant crunch in the amount of time they have to design financial aid offers, and the time that students and families have to make a decision will be also squeezed. As a result of the obstacles, a coalition of financial aid and college access organizations are urging schools to extend their deadlines when they ask students to commit to a school. In a typical cycle, many colleges ask students to say whether they'll attend and pay an enrollment deposit by May 1st. On the call with reporters, a senior education department official said Cardona has suggested that, quote, it's prudent for colleges to look and see if they can give students more time and flexibility to make their decisions. Quote, make no mistake, the better FAFSA is going to be transformational. So we're determined to get it right. So we're determined to get it right. We must and we will, end quote, Cardona said Monday. Okay, so I wanted to give you this particular liner from Market Watch because, for one, I mean, I have spoken with people directly that have already talked about the effects of this overhaul, and everything. It just seems like every institution in this country there's some kind of outcry or, oh, this needs to be overhauled, and it's all, to me, it's feeding into the BBB. And that means they're going to tear down everything. And of course, but they're telling you, they're always convincing you that this is for your convenience. We've talked about the WEF. We've talked about the fourth industrial revolution, in which Schwab of the WEF has said in his own words that it's the government's and the NGO's responsibility to convince people that where the direction that the world is going in on a global, whether it be technological advancements, whether it be 3M printings in medicine, whatever it is, it's their job to convince the consumers that this is about their convenience. This is all for you. It doesn't really matter that it's disruptive or any of that, or the pitfalls or who falls through the cracks and crannies of this. That it doesn't really matter. It's all very interesting that this is the way that it kind of plays out. So what I'm going to do is I'm also going to share with you. I'm going to share it. To me, this is all kind of linking back to what this administration's vision is for. It's a complete overhaul. It's not going to look anything like it has in the past. That's what I'm saying. If you think that this Build Back Better thing is going to be building back for we the people, you've got to be. You're falling into the delusions. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep going right now. Let's see. Battery Powered Gardener, I appreciate you for coming in. But if you come to this channel on a consistent kind of a basis, you kind of know that that certain dynamics are real about YouTube. So we don't need to go into that. There's really no need to bring out. There's no really need to bring out my stats or any of that right now. I appreciate the enthusiasm, and I appreciate the awareness, the perception, but I know where I am. Thank you. So let's keep going here. Let's see. So there's a couple of clips on here that I want to get into. There's a couple of clips on here that I want to get into. So there's one. Let's go ahead and go and look into this piece I want to take you back to a Zoom call. And there's three pieces in the particular Zoom call that I want to go into. Um, let's go into it right now. Okay, so I'm going to start you at a point in which Biden is talking about what's going. He's giving you an outlook of the future, and some people didn't believe him. Okay, some people didn't believe him, and I guess that's where it is. Also, so I already know that the HBCUs, of course, are already many students. From a reliable source, I can confirm before I go into this division that I see that's coming, what's manifesting here overall, is that the HBCUs, many of the students are already having to withdraw because for one reason or another, and a lot of it's going to be due to financial aid, because I do believe that many of the HBCUs, that is quite a bit. That's the bulk of their. It's kind of the bulk of their finance. I think they get quite a bit of financial aid, quite a bit of federal aid, and many of those students that cannot, it used to be. I'm sure you had a deadline on which to pay, whether that means to secure your room and board as well as your tuition. But in this case, I'm not even sure how that's going. But I know that students are that I do know that there are calls being made telling students that you're going to have to, vacate, or you're going to have to move out of the dorms. And they're getting it from their administrative offices. They're getting it from their administrative offices, the directives on who can stay at the colleges, because they either have not received their financial aid, or the whole thing with FAFSA is they know that they're getting up, that these students are taking on a lot of debt. Most of them, their families don't have money to contribute to their colleges, so they're not going to be contributing money to their colleges. But that's what happens there. We already know. So when when the HBCUs don't get money for their colleges, then, it's not a surprise to anyone. So that's what's happening. So let's keep going here. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at this one. We're going to take you guys back a little bit. We're going to go. I want to look at this. We've already poured over the tone of this particular piece with Biden in the past over the Zoom call. So we're going to bump this back just a little bit. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you the timbre of how this whole call started. When Biden decides to address these alleged, civil rights leaders, when he addresses them, it's the most cantankerous and most contemptuous tone that I can't. It's hard to watch, but he's letting you know. To me, he bears out little respect for these people that he's talking to. So let's go ahead and start. We're going to start at 1:11:16 on this one. We're going to try to get you to that one as close as we can. Let's see. Try to get you to that one. So here we go. We'll come in at 1. This is after these people have laid out whatever they think the objective should be, the directions. But here it comes. Here is his response to what they've laid out as president, in his president-elect status. And this call was leaked, by the way. This Zoom call was leaked. Okay, so this is what I'm going to play that. I'm going to take it back for you again. Excuse me. If you have not seen this particular piece, then I'm going to share it with you in just 1 second here. let's go to, so I'm going to play this back for you right now. We'll stop that one and go to this one. Okay, so let me go ahead and share this particular screen with you guys. This goes back to the civil rights call-ish. Okay, all right, so I'm going to bump it back here so you can see the context. So these civil rights individuals have posted their concerns, and then here enters Biden with his tone, and then I'm going to take you to the other two clips.
Who is the number 2 guy with real authority at that department? Look underneath just what we're doing in addition to the people we've already named. You're going to see people, look, and Cecilia Rouse, Cece, she is a significant player. That's a serious position. But it's like when I name it, well, I don't know whether that counts. I'm not so sure. Well, if it doesn't count for y'all, well, the hell with y'all. But
you see that was, we poured over this before. We've pretty much poured over this before. So let's keep going. Let's keep going to the next one here. So the next one, so he kind of gives you the tone. It's very cantankerous, very contemptuous, and kind of hard to watch. But this next particular clip, I'm going to show you, he's going to tell you why this country is doomed. And he's going to mention 2 groups of people in this. He's going to mention 2 groups of people. And this is why I want to bring this out regarding to the FAFSA, everything that's going on, and the whole border crisis and all this stuff. It's all linked together. They are reshaping what they want. The new order to be is already being shaped. They're tearing down the status quo so that they can install what they want. So here we are with the next. I'm going to go to the next clip. All right. So he's already said, to hell with y'all. If my record doesn't speak for you loud enough, if I'm not doing enough, if I'm not the white boy that you want, okay, listen, this was a president-elect that wants to be referred to as a white boy. Okay. It's pretty pathetic, but I'm going to keep going. He's shown you what he wanted. He's told you who he was, and people still don't believe it. So let's go to the next one. The next clip here is where he's going to talk about the country being doomed, and he's going to tell you why. All right. So here we are.
No, of getting things accomplished. And that sounds so self-serving. I know I have more women than men, as it's looking like now. Okay, that's good, because I'm surrounded by women smarter than me, starting off with my wife and my sister. But all kidding aside, this is going to be fully across the board. I'm going to keep the commitment that I said. And here's the thing. And Reverend Al, I think you're right about this. It matters what a president says. And if you notice, I am not mincing my words when I speak about what I plan on doing as president of the United States. The only thing I'm not doing is I'm not engaging in retribution. I am not deciding that the way to win is to go after hate with hate. We have to convince people. We have to move them. And one of the overwhelming reasons I won, by the way, is because we took on racism in suburbia. White women overwhelmingly voted with me, and black women were the 2 places where it was overwhelming, because we spoke to those concerns. And Vanita, you know what I'm talking about. You and I have talked before. I don't carry around a stamp on my head saying progressive and I'm AOC, but I have more of a record of getting things done in the United States Congress than anybody you know. Anybody you know, of getting things accomplished. And that sounds so self-serving. I know that. But this is going to really be hard. This is going to really be hard. And let me conclude and turn it over to Kamala, who says, what the hell am I doing with this guy right now? But all kidding aside, I've known you my whole life, most of you. I've worked with you my whole life, most of you. I've been around doing this for a long time. I don't always get it right, but I always take responsibility. When I get it wrong, I acknowledge I got it wrong. But my overarching objective, if we cannot make significant progress on racial equity, This country is doomed. It is doomed, not just because of African Americans, but because by 2040, this country is going to be minority white European. You hear me? Minority white European. And you guys are going to have to start working more with Hispanics, who make up a larger portion of the population than y'all do.
Okay, so this is exactly what I'm talking about. It's absolutely it's down to a T. It's absolutely down to a T. So this has been the agenda from day one. He's telling you that their vision, they've been talking about the browning of the browning of America is not new. That's been a part of conversation for years. Okay, whether people talked about it in passing, they joked about it. To me, it's no different than the Y2Ks and all these things, and the progressives and the technology advances. All these things have been in discussion, have been in the loop before, but he's letting you know specifically that he had a plan for the Hispanics. He's telling you people, you darkies are going to have to start working with the Hispanics, which make up a larger population, a part of the population than you guys. He's telling you, he told you what he was going to do. So everything, whether it comes down to education, we got to overhaul the FAFSA application to make it easier and more effective. You're making it more, who's going to be easier for? You've basically dumbed down education on an unprecedented level. You've dumbed it down on an unprecedented level. You've put it down in an unprecedented level. So I'm not sure why you would continue to I'm not sure why you would make the point to say that they're going to be working, they need to work with the Hispanics. I don't know why, but I know why. You don't need to say why. It's very clear. Okay? You've dumbed it down. You've got a lot of we've got functional illiterates. We've had a generation of functional illiterates, but that's going to blow up even more. When you just look at the stats on communities, I mean, especially if you go into the black / African American community, you will see the statistics on students not being able to read, the boys not being able to read on beyond a 4th grade level. They're not reading on grade levels. They've been touting these statistics. They tout the statistics all the time. So, but you're not making the FAFSA application more. You're not changing the read or the readability on that. You're doing that based on, to me, the people they're actually coming in, and those would be the Hispanics, or these are the people that are coming into this country from other places. You're making it easier, but it has nothing to do with the people that have the people or the old order that unfortunately passed away in 2020. That is not what you're doing. That is not what you're here for. Okay, so this is what's going on. So we're going to keep going here. All right, so you heard 2 points. He's already shown them the amount of disdain and contempt in his entire tone, in the framing of his presentation here. He's basically on defense. They're basically saying they're basically were claiming, what are you going to do? What are you going to do differently is what they challenged him with in this call. Now, this call was leaked. This was by Intercept. Okay. The Intercept was where this particular, this was their platform in which this took place, and it was actually leaked. So he's shown his hand multiple times. And he talked about the country being doomed because of African Americans. The country's doomed. It's not going to be doomed just because of African Americans. Now, if you didn't hear that, I will be glad to run that back for you. I'm saying this is exactly what I'm talking about. They know there's the social engineering that they're doing right now. It's been the plan all along. It's not just some border crisis that just showed up on your step last week, last month, last year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. This has been to me in the works for years. And now with the amount of chaos that's going on, the economy, the inflation, the crime rates in these cities, the optics out of New York, it's all, to me, it's all set up. Chicago, Philadelphia, these cities, even going out west, California, New York, California has been bursting at the seams with issues in terms of the border for years. 2018 was the most attention that they got due to the surge. And I've told you guys on this channel that that's when the migration compact was actually due. Okay, so I'm going to go here. I'm going to go here, and we'll go back here. So let's go back to where he talks about why the country is doomed. For you black folks out here, why would anybody that anybody of any kind of half authenticity would never tell you that the country would be doomed because of you? He's telling you, you're the stain on America. You're the burden on America. You're the soul-wrenching issue of America. And he's telling you, you're going to be outpopulated. Your population is they've already squelched your population. They've already got it set up. So you're going to sink even lower. If you thought you were low, he's basically saying, the hell with y'all. You're going to be less of the populace anyway. I don't even need to deal with you. I can talk to you. I can speak to you in this contemptuous kind of tone. I can speak to you in a cantankerous mood. I gotta go. It's the first thing he said. I don't have time. Basically, I don't have time for you darkies today. I'm telling you what's going to happen. I'm telling you I'm social engineering your asses out of here to a great extent. And what are you going to do about it? You're going to start working with these people that I'm bringing in here. So let's bump it back a little bit.
In my whole life, most of you. I've been around doing this for a long, long time. I don't always get it right, but I always take responsibility. When I get it wrong, I acknowledge I got it wrong. But my overarching objective, if we cannot make significant progress on racial equity, this country is doomed. It is doomed, not just because of African Americans, but because by 2040, this country is going to be minority white European. You hear me? Minority white European. And you guys are going to have to start working more with Hispanics, who make up a larger portion of the population than y'all do in terms of raw numbers. We're going to have to be working with a whole group of people that, in fact, are the single most diverse democracy in American history and anywhere in the world. And we got to figure out how to unify this country. And you've been the leaders of being able to do that. Not a joke. And so there's some things that I'm going to be able to do by executive order. I'm not going to hesitate to do it. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to do what used to, Benita, you probably used to get angry with me during the debates when you'd have some of the people you were supporting say, on day one, I'm going to executive order to do this. Not within the constitutional authority. I am not going to violate the Constitution. Executive authority that my progressive friends talk about is way beyond the bounds. And as one of you said, maybe you, Reverend, now, whether it's far left or far right, there is a Constitution. It's our only hope, our only hope. And the way to deal with it is where I have executive authority, I will use it to undo every single damn thing this guy has done by executive authority. But I'm not going to exercise executive authority where it's questioned, where I can come along and say, I can do away with assault weapons. There's no executive authority to do away with that. And no one's fought harder to get rid of assault weapons than me. But you can't do it by executive order. If you do that, next guy comes along and says, well, guess what? By executive order, I'm going to say everybody can own machine guns again. So we got to be.
Okay. So there again, he's giving you many just about everything that he has said. He's not. This is not a prophetic. This is not a prophetic president. This the dynamics, the environment, the climate surrounding the things that are happening in this country are not just some happenstance or just something that just magically appeared. It didn't just show up on your doorstep. This has all been It's all been a part of a plan, and he laid it out. He laid it out. His this was his. He started out with with a defensive tone, saying, "Look, I don't have time for you guys. I don't have time. I don't have time to prove to you I've been this and I've been that." He's been ineffective. He's been ineffective, and he's had his own rhetoric that's on record. So if he wants to keep passing around and pointing the finger, oh, you're a racist, this person's more racist, and this is racist, and that's racist, and this guy is this, and this guy is that, and I stood up to this, and I did that. He gets to say that. His resume is not impressive because of any of that. It's because he's been there. He's been a warm body. There's nothing spectacular about what he's done. He's dropping names, dropping color, dropping DEI initiatives, dropping, these people, they think they can, it's a complete social experiment is what it is. The civil rights movement, to me, these people, this is an experiment, and they keep using the same ingredients to bring what? If they were such leaders, and so if they were leading, then you're not even a servant leader. This is not even servant leadership that we've witnessed when it comes to these these baby boomer types, civil rights leaders, nor the new age ones. They are all in the same. They keep the trauma. They have to keep that pulse going. When they see it's not that the pulse is fainting or waning, they have to ramp it up. And they keep going back to this particular guy because he's going to feed into it. He gives them life, but what are they actually accomplishing? It's not effective. It's not effective. You've got Black people in the major cities being moved out of their parks, out of their communities. They're moved out of their parks. They're moved out of their schools, their gymnasiums, their recreation, all of that. But you got people that still want to keep yelling civil rights, civil rights, civil rights, voting rights, civil rights. What is that actually? When you think about it, it just gets to be, it's just like illusions. It's hope. It's no different than some of the people that, it's no different than people selling hope, selling hopium, they're trying to sell you something, and there's no cure for what they're doing, but there is a market. There is a market. They've got people to market to, but there's never going to be any product. You're never going to get a product from this actual situation. Okay, so we're going to keep going here for this last portion here. And I want to share one more piece with you on this situation that's going on regarding the FAFSA. So it's not just the HBCUs, but it's also the Ohio State University is also dealing with some issues regarding it. But I just wanted to share that with you so that you could see the actual direction, what he said as president-elect, and then what's going on right now. You were led right off into a cliff. You were led right on to the edge. So you can't. If you can't see it, then you might need to pray for some discernment. If you still, this whole red and blue make purple. That's a very fundamental lesson. A very fundamental, elementary. It's a preschool lesson, for crying out loud. Everything that's happening is leading us to the same place, into the same fate. All right, so now we're going to go to the Ohio State, and they're extending their commitments to deadlines to adjust for FAFSA. So I do think that this is going to, If this FAFSA disaster is big enough, of course it's going to discourage the American people and the HBCU students, and it's going to guess who it's going to open up more spaces for, where that 1.8 billion more dollars is that it's actually going to end up going to people who've not paid it. They don't have any connections or ties to this country. They haven't paid anything into this system because they're already giving them. But if that kind of money is up for grabs, and then not to mention it doesn't hurt them. When you want to talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, it doesn't hurt that you have a Hispanic in the position of Secretary of Education. To me, these trick bags they're really out of control. The trick bag is up. If you've got eyes to see and ears to hear, then you can see it. You already see this. Okay, so I want to show you this one. All right, so let's look at this one. This is coming out of dispatch.com. So I'm trying to hit as many circuits on this as possible. Let's see. So Ohio State delays commitment financial aid deadlines after feds botched the FAFSA rollout. Okay. So, according to this, Ohio State University is pushing back its financial aid priority and commitment deadlines, making it the latest university adjusting to the U.S. Department of Education's botched financial aid application rollout. The university announced Friday morning that students and families will now have until March 15th to submit the free application for federal student aid, better known as FAFSA, a month later than the previous February 15th deadline. Incoming and current students will also have until that date to apply for scholarships through Scholarship Universe. Ohio State is also extending its enrollment commitment deadline for incoming first-year students from May 1st to May 15th. Quote, "We understand how important financial aid is to students and families who are still making their college decisions," end quote, said James Orr, Vice Provost for Strategic Enrollment Management. Quote, "To give them more time to make an informed decision, Ohio State is extending the deadline for incoming first-year students to pay their acceptance fee and commit to the university. We remained committed to access and affordability and will continue to offer financial services and education to support students and families," end quote. The changes follow a month of confusion and ire from students, families, college counselors, financial aid officers due to the FAFSA rollout. The FAFSA got a long-awaited facelift late last month, which federal education officials promised would make the process easier to navigate. Critics, however, say it's been anything but. The U.S. Department of Education announced late last month that colleges and universities won't receive students' financial aid applications until early March. That means colleges will have less time to offer financial aid packages to students, and students and families who would have less time to decide what school is right for them. Higher education organizations and financial aid advocates have called for colleges and universities to offer more flexibility to students and their families. Other Ohio universities, like Wright State University, have also pushed back some of their deadlines to accommodate the changes. Orr said Ohio State will continue to monitor the situation and, quote, "provide flexibility as needed," while also balancing the university's commitment to first-year student success. Okay, so they're kind of you get two different ends of the spectrum I was trying to offer there, because not only did I show you a liner on what the, quote, feds are doing, that they're trying for stressed resource type institutions like the HBCUs, but I'm also showing you a Big Ten school that are saying that they're delaying commitments and financial aid deadlines to accommodate whatever this, make us over again. It's just, but really, when I think about this, it's like, what did they have? The MAGA, Make America Great Again, and all of this. But how are you going to make all of these things great again if we're not really in control of it? If we don't, and shout out to Mr. Pearson, if we don't really own if we don't really own our industries, if we're not leaders, how are we going to make things great again? Just putting it out there. It's food for thought. How can you do that with tremendous debt? How are you going to do that? How exactly are you going to accomplish that? You cannot make it if you don't own it. You can't make something if you don't own it. If you're owned by somebody else, you better figure it out, because it's not quite panning out like that. So there's a deception going on here, and it's more people in on it than most people want to admit. Unfortunately, we have people that love their politics and love their red and blue flags more than they actually love reality. They don't want you to mess up their illusions. Leave people their illusions. Even in ancient Rome, same script. Leave the people their illusions. This two council faction with the same result, they just keep sending money to foreign places, and look what's going on around here. Oh, pray for this country, pray for that. Well, pray for this place. Pray for this place, because this is where you live. But like I said, if we want to just keep feeding the same, if we want to just keep feeding into the same thing, this is what you're going to get. The destruction is happening before our eyes. The decay, whether it's the moral decay, the financial decay. I mean, we're dealing with situations in which there's financial abuse, there's emotional abuse, there's it's just huge. So I just want to make sure I delivered this as promised. So for those of you that are seeing this in replay, of course, you might be able to cross-reference some of the streams that I did earlier. You can feel free to do that. I've talked about a couple of things. I did talk about last week about how your federal employees, they want a pay raise. But what are they doing other than kabuki theater every day? Oh, this one went scorched earth on this one, and and guess what? We're all still paying taxes. And all still we can't even get we can't even get on your state streets are still crap. You can't get. This is more remote than anything. Your access to your governments are becoming more remote and ineffective than any time. The institutions are all crying, we need a facelift. This needs to be overhauled. The current press secretary, I have never seen anybody so disinterested and so unprepared for a job every single week. To me, it's honestly, I've seen some high school students that probably can get up there and can act prepared, can show some level of preparation. It's really not, with everything that's going on, it's really a lot of she just, even in the tragedies that she tries to speak to, it's not coming off. And she speaks with the same kind of framing as Biden. Look, da 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 da. Oh, that's not because she's very defensive. Most of the time, she's just directing you to hits on. I'll direct you to the Department of Justice. I don't want to get ahead of this. I'm a federal employee. I don't get to speak to this because of the Hatch Act or like those I've watched. Those press conferences are like watching. You could probably put on a press conference of hers every single week. You could leave it on the same press conference and you wouldn't really know the difference week after week. So when you do, and to me, the fact that they would even hire somebody under a DEI premises, I mean, are you trying to convince me that that's the most qualified person that happened to be of either African or Haitian or whatever naturalized citizens of descent that you could come up with? No, you would not convince me of that. There are tons of people. I'm not even talking about the people that didn't apply. Somebody else somebody else could have done that job a lot. And it's not just a job, it's, you have to me, even if she had gone in for some training on it for 9 months before, I still don't think she could have been prepared. She sits there, she reads, she doesn't make eye contact with the press. She's picking almost like, she's, the way she even selects people in those pressers is really excruciating. I mean, it's insulting. I don't even know how they do it every week, and I really don't know what they actually gain from. Do you have enough to even write? What can you write? You're still going to have to go out here and do a whole bunch of homework. You're going to still have to go out here and find a bunch of sources, because she's going to tell you, oh, well, so-and-so just laid this out for you, or my colleagues, or Admiral John Kirby, he just did this, and this, and can't you see how clear it is? It's so clear you can see to the bottom, right? It's bathtub clear. Can't you see how clear it is? Can't you see how clear this president is? And she's always touting the beginning of his presidency. It's pretty staggering. So I just wanted to share those pieces with you guys, because, like I said, this is kind of the nitty gritty that I wanted you to see through marketwatch.com. I talked a little bit last night also about this hip hop task force. I'm telling you, the experiment is the civil rights. The civil rights is an experiment. And how well the experiment is going, what are the findings? But like I said, to me, BLM is basically getting a facelift. They're getting a microphone in their communist fist. When I look at the marketing on it, it's just, was it Jamal Bowman? You can cross-reference that. You can cross-reference that particular piece from last night. Yes, so that was fox17.com. But yes, so of course, out of New York, it's no different than the campaigns that they ran for the mocktails. They ran a whole series of those in New York. But yeah, so just keep an eye out for that. I'm going to keep an eye out for this hip hop task force, because their objective there is supposed to be, they want to connect the hip hop community to Congress, which these people are already connected. Are you kidding me? You've got to be kidding me. You've absolutely got to be kidding me if you believe that hip hop has not been connected to Capitol Hill. Yeah, they can probably get in and out of Capitol Hill easier than most people. All right, so what I'm going to do is I will leave this. I'm just going to run a little commercial, and I will be right back. This program is brought to you in part by our sponsors and our viewers like you. AZ Infidel, Derek C. Williams, Melinda, Marcy T, TDOA, Freedom's March, Independent Many United, Joseph Francis Burton, Luciano, Zero the Infinite, Uncool Paranoia, and Anarchy Television. We'll be right back right after this. All right, so once again, thank you guys so much for those of you that support the channel, and for those of you that that have been here since CV19, and I appreciate it. And I'm sure I'll be back. I'm not sure, maybe we'll come back tomorrow. They come back tomorrow because I have a little bit extra time coming my way. So we will be we'll see what happens. There's tons of news out there, but it's just the amount of social engineering that's getting a little bit excruciating, especially when they target the quote Black/African American community. And But it's basically, to me, the faction that group of people, or if you whatever you identify yourself with, they're basically leading you to your own demise. But they want you, but they don't want anybody to tell. They don't want anybody to tell you. They don't want anybody to lift the veil. They don't want to be unmasked. But everything's been unmasked. Okay. You're not going to find. There's one other piece that I want to get into. I want to talk about Randall's Island. Is what I want to talk about. There are a couple. I've talked about a couple of YouTubers that are actually They're following. They're following one of the most hostile. It's one of the most hostile, most violent shelter migrant facilities in New York. And I would like to do a little bit of a piece on that. But I appreciate it so much for those of you in replay. I appreciate you so much for tuning in. For those of you that didn't come in, consider coming in, or for whatever the dynamics are on this stream, I appreciate you per usual. And I appreciate you guys that have been here, and for your authenticity. I appreciate it. And I will see you guys on the next live stream. So let me know what you think in the comment section. And let me know what's happening in your neck of the woods. Till then, take care.